Mom, look at me. I'm live on YouTube. Go figure. How absolutely crazy amazing. How are you guys doing? Oh boy, I'll tell you. The last few days has just been very interesting for me because I have discovered there's a lot of crazy going on in the United States. And I'm sure you are aware of it as well. And so what I thought I would do, I thought I would just kind of hang out with you guys here for a little bit, and I thought I'd try and grab some sanity. So greetings and aloha. What's going on? Greetings and aloha. What's going on? It's Mike from livemyassoff.com. This is totally impromptu. It's like about 4:30 here p.m. in the Big Mango. And so that means many of you are simply asleep, which is fine. But what I wanted to do is just kind of flip this on for a couple of reasons. First thing I'm doing, which is probably the least interesting to you guys, is I'm trying a new in-browser encoding solution. And so that is simply, it's called Lightstream. And so what that means is I have the ability to kind of do this picture-in-picture thing, which I kind of dig. And what it will also ideally allow me to do is that it will show any of the chat here on the screen, which I'm not totally sure is going to work. So anyway, it's definitely a work in progress. I've tried these guys before, and the last time I tried them, they were totally incompetent. So that's cool, awesome. So I can see you there. Good day, Aztec. Damo, number one. Good to see you, my friend. Work in Australia, getting paid to watch you, as you should be, my friend. Mike, this format is great. Oh, cool, man. Appreciate it, Aztec. Yeah, I was. It was like energetic rain, which was going on out there, right? And as you know, I'm a big fan of that. And so it was happening, and I thought, well, hey, you know what? Now that there's this like bitchin' sort of rain going on, I'll throw Pigeon Cam out there. So I throw Pigeon Cam out there. I get the microphone out. I'm all proud of myself. I'm thinking, oh, this is great. I'm going to like totally record some awesome energetic rain. And then and then the sun comes out, which again, you know, yeah, you got to love the night shift, dude. I'll tell you what. I mean, that was my first gig in radio, man. And speaking of gig in radio and audio and that sort of thing, this is one of the older microphones that I've been using right now. This is actually an $8 microphone, believe it or not. And it still goes through a very similar mic chain, but what it doesn't do is have a lot of coloration to it. So it's a little bright. But I figured, you know what? I'll just throw it in here, and I was just kind of messing around with some stuff. Thank you for the 2 thumbs up, you guys. 5 of you here. Awesome. Good to see you. Aloha and mahalo for coming by. How to. So and here's the other thing too, is that I want to talk about what the crazy that is going on in the United States, but I'm actually really glad that there's a lot of you guys from Australia, because I mean, again, I'm over here, okay, but yeah, I'm an American, but I gotta be honest, it's like a little embarrassing. That we're like protesting with firearms and, setting businesses on fire that are completely irrelevant to what's the crazy that's going on, right? And yeah, so Aztec, I hear you, man. It is. And at the moment it was, I was thinking yesterday, I bet you're glad you're not there. Totally, man. And how lousy is that? How lousy it is to be like, oh, thank God I'm not in my home country. I mean, what the hell? That's kind of, that's not really kind of why you show up, Anyway, man, I don't know, guys. I just, I don't want to sit here and get down on the U.S. and do any sort of like Trump nonsense. I am totally non-political. I'm all about having I'm all about having a good time, as you might know. And whether it's last president, current president, 10 presidents ago or whatever, they're imperfect. I mean, and thank God they're imperfect. Otherwise, Saturday Night Live wouldn't have a whole lot of content, right? But the other thing that I'm testing is that Caesar says it's a failure of the family and the school system. Interesting comment, sir. I don't disagree with you. Now, so here's the interesting thing about the way that these comments show up. Is that it doesn't show up on the live thing for me, so that I can only see it basically once it's on YouTube, which means I can effectively, it shows up on the screen later than it does sort of in the display there. And so that's, and again, that's one of the things that I'm doing, is I'm testing this solution, because there's another company that is beta testing some software that basically does what this does, i.e. in a Chrome browser. And Aztec says, man, I'm too opinionated on these topics. Laugh out loud. I'll just zip my lip. Yeah. And again, that's the thing, is I don't like to spend a whole lot of energy on this, because it bums me out just in the 15 or 20 minutes that I have watched it like today. But I was on a Zoom call, right, with my buddies back home. And we're having a meeting. We're all like sort of chatting and everything. They're like, oh, dude, what's Bangkok like? And there was another guy from Tucson, and then there was another guy from Florida yesterday, and that sort of thing, right? So we're hanging out, and they're like, so what's going on in Bangkok? And, again, I get it. Like, I grew up in the United States. And so basically until like Thailand became interesting to me, I didn't know anything about Thailand. And Damo, I completely agree. It's not really a protest. It's just a riot and looting. It is. And I don't understand. I mean, I got to tell you, so from here, I watched the Hong Kong thing, and you guys probably saw some of that as well. Always carry my hand sanitizer with me. I'm so appropriate, right? But anyway, so, I'm watching the Hong Kong thing, and Gracie and I had been over to Hong Kong, and we liked Hong Kong. I mean, shoot, it was just kind of coincidental, but I like passed through twice, and then was there for like almost a week, I think. And then I was there for like 3 or 4 days. I had meetings with Alibaba, and then I had another meeting with the Alumni Association of University of San Diego, where I worked, believe it or not. For whatever reason, they were having an alumni meeting, and there was like a room full of people that were over there. So I'm like, well, I'm just hopping back home. I'll go there. So my point is that Gracie and I, as well as Gracie and I, really enjoyed Hong Kong, right? So all this nonsense is happening in Hong Kong, and I'm like, oh man, that's so terrible. And then I'm watching it, and I'm judging it, right? And I'm sitting there, and I'm going, it looks like a lot of these people are just like lighting fires to like do it. And I couldn't really sort of understand what they thought they were going to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? And so it seems as though, and again, obviously, there's not a whole lot like I can Google or that's on YouTube or that's on CNN or whatever relative to, the woman who just walked across the street and like, a Boy Scout just helped an old lady across the street, right? I mean, they don't run those stories, okay? So, and there's a lot of that good that goes on in the United States for sure, as did Hong Kong. I mean, I got buddies that went over there for business meetings, and no, they weren't attacked and they weren't set on fire every time they like walked over to, they cruised over to Victoria Harbor or something, right? But Damo says, I'm the same as Aztec. I came to the realization it's not worth it, and I no longer read the news or watch any YouTube videos or anything political. It's time to focus on what makes me happy, not angry. See, now here's the thing, guys. I mean, if people ask, they're like, okay, so like who subscribes to your channel? I'm like, the freaking cool kids is the short answer. Like people that are focused on the positive. And then it's like, yeah, well, you know what? I really would like to be able to sort of close my eyes and a perpetual motion machine that costs no money that generated $250,000 in income for every single person on the planet. Yeah, that would be amazing. And then of course I have this unicorn out here. And if I just throw some like, rainbow suspenders on, everything will be great. And I'll be able to eat chocolate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I won't get cavities. So, okay, yeah, right. But again, it's like, yeah, but I can choose like what I watch. And dude, I am right there with you, Damo. I am not like, so my friend, we're on, so you're on Zoom, right? So it's like, the pictures and everything, but then there's like the chat in the side thing. And sometimes you chat to everybody or you chat privately to one person. So one of my buddies up in San Francisco, he chats to me and he goes, yeah, I live like 10 miles away from where there was the shooting and all this. And I'm like, shooting? Like, what the, dude, I thought you guys were like freaking out because you didn't have enough masks. Like, what is this shooting? I literally was that ignorant to it. And I will say, initially, I felt, I was going to say I felt bad, but bad isn't a feeling. I felt as though I was purposefully ignorant and maybe I shouldn't be, okay? But then I thought exactly what you said, Demo. I'm like, no, wait a minute. Like, I'm going to focus on what makes me happy. And what makes me happy is just like, when it rains, I open the doors and I go outside. I mean, I don't walk out into the rain unless I don't care about getting wet, which is sometimes. But I like open the door and I hang out on my balcony. And I hang out on my balcony and I look at all the other people hanging out on their balconies and they're all bringing their clothes in. And because they don't want their clothes to get wet. I get it. So I would too. If my clothes were out there, I'd bring them in. And hey, 6 thumbs up and 12 of you watching. Thank you very much, guys. And I know that there's a little bit of overmod going on on this microphone. I still need to tweak the circuits. The capacitors in it are pretty lousy. But again, it's and the voice coil it doesn't have a whole lot of flexibility, so obviously it's going to distort pretty easily. If I get too far back, then of course I get the echo of the room, so there's not a lot I can do with it. But I just felt like kind of plugging it in, and again, it was $8, right? So why not? But I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should figure, maybe I should at least get up to speed, right? And then I thought, no, absolutely not, because me and Damo and Aztec, like, we're all going to hang out someday and be like, yeah, I got opinions. Everyone has an opinion, just like everyone's got, right? And but let's tell you what, why don't we focus on the positive, because that won't kill us, and then we might come up with a solution, because I absolutely do not have a solution for any country. But when I look at you guys, again, the amount of news that I know about Australia, right, is even less than the amount of news that I know about the United States. But I look at Australia, it's like, I understand, we were chatting about this earlier, or rather in the last live stream. And you guys were like, well, they won't let us leave, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of a bummer. Even if you could go somewhere, they can't, they wouldn't let us in. But Damo says, we can hear you, Mike. That's all that matters. Most of us can't even hear the difference. Don't. What do you mean? What are you saying? That I obsess over this and I shouldn't? Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. I do appreciate that. But but again, so I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, well, what do I do? Well, okay, all of my friends that are from the United States, I got plenty of friends here and I got plenty of friends online like you guys. And so I said, all right, well, I can either reach out to my buddies in California and basically leave a message so it'll queue up so they'll see it when they wake up and that sort of thing. Kind of like last night. Like last night, I guess Rob sent me a message at like 2:30 in the morning. And I get up and, of course, the beginning of the message is, hi, you're probably asleep right now. But I'm like, you think? It's called the normal peep. No, I'm just teasing. I love Rob, man. And so anyway, the point is that, it would just sit there and I wouldn't get the instant gratification that I get when I hang out with you guys. So then I'm like, well, again, positive solution. I'm just gonna flip on the channel, and I'm like, well, I want to test drive this new software anyway. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm just gonna hang out with you guys. And so I really kind of like doing it better that way. I was on this Zoom meeting, and the guys were like, one of them, I'm like he said, he's driving home on the freeway, and they shut down the entire freeway because I guess there was a friendly hello, Sammy, good to see you. Yo, man, what is happening, Jason? Good to see you, my friend. Asia Unscripted. The cool thing about Jason is pretty much daily, right? You do videos. I don't know if it's every single day, but maybe it's every other day. I think it's close to every day. Jason's doing videos about, what's up as far as news goes. And I will tell you that the other reason I wanted to do this is because, right on, man. Good. Aztec, thank you so much. I appreciate you welcoming the other guys. One of the things I want to talk about is the fact that, tomorrow's June 1st, right? And so that was like sort of the day that like, many more things were going to open. Now my pool here in the, there is the flyers everywhere say it's closed from May 1st to May 31st or until the situation improves. Okay. David, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming by. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And so it's like May 31st. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll cruise over to the office and say, hey, so, is it open? Is it going to be open tomorrow? And the woman said, no. She goes, unfortunately. And she was really, she was bummed. She was apologetic. Yeah, Jason says GCQ tomorrow here in Cebu City. I saw that. There were like about 5 or 6 different cities, I think, that went GCQ or something like that. But again, I don't really know on it. All I know is that Gracie cannot come here. And I certainly, even if I could leave the Philippines, even if I could leave Thailand right now and get into the Philippines, I'm a little cautious about doing that because I'm not completely convinced that getting in and where I would go would be pleasurable. I think it would be a gargantuan pain in the ass, quite frankly. But anyway, so Richard Martin, good to see you, my friends. Howdy krap. Mike, I watched the rocket go off yesterday, then realized that there are no Thai astronauts. Then realized the guys who went up, Bob and Doug, all I could think about was my brothers from Canada, eh? Yeah, Bob and Doug McKenzie, right? That's all I thought about. Man, I listened to that album like over and over and over again with my buddies. Remember doing that? You would like actually buy a comedy album and you would like listen to it and then listen to it again and then listen to it again. Jason's talking about malls will reopen at least. Airlines are opening up for domestic flights. Yeah, heard about that as well. Daniel, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for coming by. Happy first day of the rest of your life. Make the best of it. Absolutely. Joseph Pinto, good to see you, sir. Yeah, it's funny. I worked for this radio station, and the morning show, one of the things that we would say at the end, or they would say at the end of the show, is, we're Jeff and Jer, and this has been the best day of our lives. Because again, you define what it is, right? It's like, listen, I'm in charge of what today is. Like 16 of you and 9 thumbs up. Thank you, guys. I get these little deals. That's why I have this, this version of Tourette's that basically tells people how many are watching and how many thumbs up I have. So it's a disease as well as a notification system. So I swear I'm not crazy than I was last time. So the cool thing about the malls opening up, I'll tell you, here's what happened in Thailand. So the malls open up, and I'm thinking, okay, well, they're Thais, right? And so therefore, the chances of them getting up at the crack of dawn are slim. But it is a weekend, and this is when the malls opened, like a couple of weeks ago, right? So I go to one of the more popular malls here in Bangkok, meaning one of the 90. And so I go there, and there's a big line, right? And then there's signs everywhere for like, welcome back, and then hashtag we will get through this, and welcome home, and all this. It's great, right? And it's marketing, I get it, but it was pleasant. And so, there was a line and stuff. And then a buddy of mine called me and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I should probably go to here. And I'm going to go over to this other, what they refer to in Thailand is IT malls, which is basically floors and floors and floors of literally the same stuff every 12 feet. And it's like, how does this guy make any money? Like literally the guy next to him is selling the exact same product for the exact same price. I don't understand it. But regardless, it's very common here in Thailand. Sort of common in the Philippines, not really. But anyway, so IT mall. So I'm like, oh, cool. I'd rather go to, I'm not going to buy a purse, right? Just like, and Gracie's not into that kind of fashion, i.e. ridiculously expensive fashion. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get her a Coach bag. So like off to IT Park I go. And I got my light ring, which seems to be working out pretty good. Because I always had that like sort of like dark thing on my face. And so that kind of bugged me. So I said, hey, for another, I think I didn't even know how much it was, like $5, $10, whatever. Regardless, I was like, okay, so I'm going to go to these malls. Ponte Plaza, absolutely, yeah. So for me, it was Fortune Town here in Bangkok. Ponte Plaza, definitely. Actually, last time I was there, Ponte Plaza was near empty. Yeah, it's weird, right? It comes and goes, but again, don't you do the same thing, Aztec? Like you're walking through, you're going, well, how does this place stay in business anyway? I only need the one store for the cell phone covers, But to be fair, like I was there and I was looking for one for a Huawei that is not a very common phone in the Philippines. And we bought Gracie's daughter one of those, and I have the exact same kind. And so I thought, all right, well, I know what size it is, and so therefore I'll buy like 2 or 3 different, little covers, like a pink one and one with like a unicorn on it wearing suspenders or whatever. But I'll grab those, and then of course in a month I'll be over there and we'll hang out with her daughter. I'll be like, hey, here you go, I got these from time. Oh, great, thanks, Tito Mike. So anyway, I'm going over there and I'm looking around, but I'm like, it's dead crickets, dude. Absolutely crickets. So I hear you. Daniel says, I was finally able to find Hamindan on Google Maps. I kept searching. Yeah. Oh, sorry, dude. Yeah. I should have typed it in, I guess, huh? Yeah, Hamindan. Looks like it's pretty remote up in the mountains. Could you even imagine living there? So at the end of the day, it's nice at their farm, because it's pretty quiet. But again, it's in the middle of nowhere. Like, I mean, it is on the top of the mountain. And my vision for that property, because I don't think, farming, it doesn't really, the longevity of it is tenuous. Let's just say that. But my vision of it is, since there's 5G coming, their property should basically be the property where every single cell phone carrier leases slabs of concrete and throws up 5G antennas everywhere and repeaters, and they could actually hop the signal across it too to the other mountains. Because from one side of their farm, you look out and you see Calibo, and from the other side, you see Rojas, and you'd have to look on Google Maps too to know where these ROXAS. I'll spell them from now on, because I totally know that must have been lame. I'm sorry about that, Daniel. I should have. But in any case, and then you can see, because you can see Calibo, you can obviously, I mean, it's got to be a really clear day, but because there is some curvature to the earth once you're up. But you see Boracay, right? And so, but you definitely see Rojas, which is it's a nice beach, and it's probably about a 2.5 hour drive. And I mean, again, it's obviously cell phone, the signals don't go that far, but the point is that it could be a great 5G spot. It could be a great repeater spot. And so anyway, I think that'll probably happen. I bet in the next 10 years that we could transition that into something that would just make her parents literally billionaires, like billion pesos. Because I'll tell you, if you have a building or you have a plot of land or something like that, and a cell phone company says, yeah, we want to come in and put an antenna in there, the sky's the limit. I mean, you could literally, I tell you right now, I know it. I used to work at a couple places, and if you've ever seen the really small repeaters, right, they're basically at the top of a light pole, $25,000 a month from Verizon, and we had 2 of them on campus. So not nothing. And, again, the penetration is a little bit more in on a hill in San Diego versus a farm in Hamindan. But nonetheless, I think it's a good long-term goal. But yeah, so the imagine living part, we have a house like in town, which is not like, but there, the internet is horrendous. It is horrible. Now, again, on the top of the mountain, I don't expect there to be internet. And you have to like go up to a hill to kind of like get 3G if you're lucky. But in town, it's the water is only available. Like, it's one of those deals where she has water, but it like kind of comes from a tank somewhere or something like that. But it's not available like until after 5 or before 5 or something. It's just these weird hours, Anyway, yeah, I can imagine going there. I can imagine, like, if I close my eyes, I'm like, okay, so here's the house I would build in the middle of this land that I'd have satellite internet backup, and I'd have solid glass fiber from 2 providers, and then, 2 feeds. I'd have a backup generator, So it's a lot easier to just walk down the street to a building in Bangkok with, for less than $400 a month. You're just like, here, and all of that just magically shows up. Anyway. Aztec says, yeah, every time I walk through the million mobile-related vendors in MBK, absolutely, that one floor at MBK, right? I'm baffled at how many of them are making a living. And I totally get that. And so that's when this lockdown came, I said, okay, I mean, obviously this is going to, this is going to remove the wheat from the chaff. And I'm thinking, but even still, like, I went to Fortune Town, and, I get why, like, Pro Plugin is there. I mean, that's sort of you guys are from Australia. So in the United States, we have Guitar Center. Okay, so it's like this, there's every major city has a Guitar Center, and you can go in there and you can buy, audio mixing equipment and a little bit of video, but you can buy guitars, you can buy keyboards, you can buy that sort of thing, editing software, headphones, all that. And so Pro Plugin is one of those. And I'm like, okay, I get why that's in business, because like their other branches, throughout Southeast Asia were open. And so they're like, okay, well, we're taking it, right now, but it won't be so bad like a month or I think they were closed. I don't think they were closed a full 2 months, but Richard Martin says to Aztec, most are from India. They rent a condo and 20 people move into it. Yeah, that is it is kind of crazy. Sammy says, as long as they are not 5G. As long as what are not 5G? The let me make sure I didn't miss a comment there. Sorry, man. I'm not totally clear on what you're referencing, but anyway, so I'm thinking, okay, so I go to this mall and it's like really busy, but my point is to Jason saying, hey, they're all gonna open up. Another guy who I follow, Side Trip Life is his channel. Good to see you, Dr. Money. How you doing, Richard? You don't get how they make a living because your version of living is vastly different than theirs. Absolutely. Yeah, living, right? The cell towers, yeah. No, I'm a big fan of all of that, actually. The Indians, as long as the Indians aren't 5G. Dun, dun, dun. Nice. So, my point is that I would submit that after a couple of days, at least if the mall opening in Thailand follows the mall opening paradigm that occurred here, that literally later in that day of the first day of opening, the attendance will decrease significantly. And I was very surprised at that. Now, that didn't happen in every mall, of course, and it varied, But then like the next day, it wasn't really that crowded. And so that was really interesting to me. I figured, I get the whole, the pent up demand discussion, right? And I understand what people, oh my God, no, I haven't been to a mall in so long, I got to go to a mall. And then they go to a mall and they're like, all right, well, that was, now that that's over, I can go back to what I was normally doing, which is trying to, make a living, I guess, or whatever. But, and again, it opened for the first time on a Sunday too. So, there were a significant amount of people that were, on, they had that day off potentially if they hadn't, been out of their jobs anyway. So I'm unsure what's going to happen in the Philippines, although I will say that in the Philippines, it seems like their malls are much more densely populated on a regular basis. Because I guess you could argue that the majority maybe of people in the Philippines, they work 6 days a week. Now, but again, it depends where you are, because I live in people. Well, the average salary in Thailand, Mike, it's only 50. Like, well, okay, yeah, right. But I mean, like I live in the near a business district in Bangkok, and they don't make $100,000 a year, trust me. But I mean, it's not uncommon for them to make 30,000 baht a year. It's 30,000 baht a month. Sorry. So yeah, hey, so did you see Richard's his recent video? Did you see his cameo appearance? Now, I don't know how many of you guys saw or had watched any of his other videos before he did the one where he showed up on camera, but I don't know if you guys do this, but whenever I hear someone, right, and I haven't seen them, then of course I make this picture of them in my mind. And when he showed up, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I thought he might look like, because he had a voice that was similar to this other guy. You compare him to other people, like, oh, he kind of sounded like Jim. I wonder if he's going to look anything like. Oh, he looks a little bit like Jim. Anyway, so that was kind of cool. Richard says, I went to MBK looking for a phone. Most are incompatible with service in the States. Yeah, I know what you mean by that. The $35 battery I bought for my Samsung was the one that came with my phone scam and cracked the screen. That stinks, buddy. I'm sorry to hear that. That's a total drag. Yeah, I mean, again, at the end of the day, the U.S. it's very CDMA friendly, and the remainder of the world is very CDMA obtuse. You can use GSM anywhere, pretty much. And Richard gives a smiley face. Absolutely, man. Here we go. 750 new cases here in Florida. Today? In a day? I mean, again, you got to remember where I'm at, right? We got, what is it, Richard? 57 dead people. But again, I mean, look, it is what it is. It's different. There's a different testing paradigm. I get it. But I don't know. Is that low, Joe? I mean, is that something that, everyone there's like, oh, shoot, as long as it's like less than 1,000, then we're kind of, we're flattening it or whatever like that. So yeah, in a day. All right, Joe. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, in the sense that I assume that, although actually, no, I was going to say I assume that people, that have it are like sick, but I'm actually, if I rethought that phrase, there's probably a higher likelihood that the people that are diagnosed with it might not know, depending upon how they're testing. I mean, around here, I mean, effectively, I could be a carrier, but they're not going to test me unless, like, when they check my forehead everywhere, the temperature of it, it's above 37. And I got to tell, I mean, I don't know whether I'm just like from Mars or something like this, but my temperature is regularly below 35. And I believe 98.6 Fahrenheit is 36.4 Celsius. However, a lot of times I'm hovering around 35, and sometimes I think to myself, I've been outside, I'm sweating like crazy. I'm like, I'm so hot. And then I walk into this air conditioned building, right? So immediately, like, the swamp cooler effect takes place. And I'm like, that feels very good. And then I think to myself, okay, his little sensor, he's probably going to be like, wow, the temperature of that water on his forehead is like really low. It's like, well, right. That's the way this meat suit was designed, dude. It's like you sweat and then there's the airflow. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, again, it's I'm just grateful it hasn't been like 37 and a half. Although one time I think it was like 37.3, 37.4. And he's like, well, do you want to sit down and cool off? And I'm like, nah. And he's like, okay, my pen right. And I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, I don't look sick now, do I? And of course, he didn't know any English and I knew very little Thai, but oh, cool, Joseph. I'm glad you like the bird cam. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Pigeon Cam. The reason that's out there, actually, if you don't know, I said it earlier on, but I was starting off my afternoon, and then all of a sudden torrential downpour occurred. And so naturally, when the torrential downpour occurs here, I mean, it's 100 degrees outside, right? So I'm just like, oh, cool. So I shut the air conditioners off. I open up all the windows, and I like go out on the patio or the balcony. And I'm watching everyone else, and I was like, oh, I should put my camera out here. So then I did that. And then I thought, hey, you know what? I make this Pigeon Cam online. Joseph's going to swing by and we're going to hang out. 11 thumbs up and 16 watching. Thank you guys very, very much. I really appreciate it. And so tomorrow, June 1st, right? And so technically the pool can be open. However, my building is deciding to not open the pool because this is what the woman said. And again, this is broken English, right? She said that the government won't allow them to open the pool if they don't have sufficient security. And I don't know whether that means, to check temperature in and out of the pool or whatever. So that's a little bit of a bummer because I'll tell you, one of the things that I really enjoyed is being out and being hot and sweaty. I mean, I don't mind the heat. I love it. That's why I live here. And so I'm out and I'm walking around and I'm sweating like crazy. So what I would normally do is I would come up to the apartment even before I turn the air conditioning on. I change. I put my flip flops on, grab my swimming suit and head down to the pool, and then just swim in the pool at 4 or 5 o'clock. And then I come up here and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't, I feel a lot better. And the nice thing about that pool, you can't see it now, but there's usually a pretty intense breeze starting at about right now, and it blows from left to right in the picture here, to the point where there's waves at the end, these little waves, and so a little bit of water will splash up and over the edge. And basically, the entire pool is kind of zero edge in the sense that the water just goes over all of the sides, not just one side. And then kind of between that black line, if you will, which is the edge of the pool and all those chairs, there's about a foot of stones. And so it uses that for filtration and stuff. So it sounds like this giant fountain around the whole thing, right? And then there's a massive fountain in the center there with that round thing. And so it's really refreshing, so I get to do that. And I kind of miss that. But it was interesting because my response to it, she was just like, oh, yeah, we can't, and she was ridiculously apologetic. Oh, Kun Mike, I'm so sorry, and I'm like, no. Yeah, you're making the rules. I'm like, come on. I really appreciate you just telling me the reason. That's great, and I'll move on. I didn't tell her that part, but in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'll just move on, and I'll go on to my next task. And I was like, I wonder what it would take for me to get information like that. Like, oh my God, my pool's closed. I'm playing for a pool. I want my pool money, or whatever. And then in my mind, I think, I'm going to join my buddies that are like destroying property, or I'm going to go like protest, or I'm going to go make my disappointment loud. Like, I'm going to make it known that I'm really pissed off about this. And I don't know, guys. I mean, look, we're all kind of like, just like, Damo was saying earlier, it's like, look, I just try and focus on the positive. So I'm there too, but it's not like I don't get pissed, right? Every now and then, like, just something ticks me off and I don't get my own way and I get that only child tantrum and I'm just like, or whatever. But I guess I'm just not one of those guys that's like, okay, like physical violence is the solution here. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I've hated somebody, or I've been pissed at somebody, or I've hated a dog that's barking that won't stop. And I have these, crazy thoughts about what I would like to do to them. But again, it's a thought. It's not an action, let's face it. If we were to all confess all of our thoughts that we had when we were 17 years old in high school, when she walked into the classroom, we would probably not be, we'd be all behind bars right now, right? So my point is that I'm just like, I wonder like what it would take to throw me over the edge to the point where I'm like, you know what? We should I haven't like Molotov cocktailed in weeks. Now's the time. Let's do this. So Damo says, personally, I'm not fussed about getting it. I believe it's mostly the media make it sound worse for views and clicks and other political reasons. Richard says the virus doesn't matter anymore. Arson, looting, and rioting is the latest trend. It is. That's great. Yeah, it's not. And I'm with you, Dan. I was like, you know what? If I get this, I get it. Because, again, and it's funny too, because I've heard people make the analogy, kind of, between the behavior that people are having now. Clearly I need a cigarette. No. Between the behavior they're having and what was happening when AIDS was, new and right. And I was, and again, the stereotype when AIDS came out is if you're gay, then you're going to get AIDS. Okay. And that's not correct. Right. But the point is that, that was sort of what everyone was talking about. Fine. So, and I was like, okay, well, that kind of removes me. If that's the dividing line, then the chances of me getting this are a big fat zero. But, how do I, and then you would learn about, well, the amount, like, what was it like if you were ever to sleep with a woman, then you were basically sleeping with her and all of her other previous partners. All of this stuff that came out, right? So there was definitely more fear in my mind, like, oh my God, I might get this. And then the nonsense that, oh my God, if I sit on a toilet seat and I might get it, it was all BS, right? But there was this fear that was, from the media as well as other sources. And I remember definitely being like, oh, I read, and of course it's like, oh my God, I better wear a condom and staple it to myself, my God, or whatever, or wear a third one. And, but then, that kind of went away, and then we got more educated on it, and then there were a lot more successful medications and treatments and that sort of thing. Okay, fine, but there was some fear there. But with this thing, I am not even the slightest bit fearful that honestly, I'm thinking that I would probably be more, in my mind, I think to myself, I would be more disappointed if I got dengue fever right now. Because Rob, right? He described what it was like for him to get it. I've heard about other guys that get it. Apparently, it's ridiculously painful and annoying too. Nobody likes being sick, but like I'm a really bad sick person. I am so high maintenance. I'm just like, and I'm just like, why do I feel this way? Well, why don't you? Like, the world gets sick, dude. You're a victim just like we all are. And so, but I was just like, okay, well, then I'll just do the flu thing. Like, I haven't had the flu in years. I get the flu shot every year just simply because if I don't get the flu shot when I was at Kaiser, they basically, they pretty much publicly embarrass you, for not getting it. So I'm like, fine, just give it to me. I don't care. And I've had zero bad things happen from getting the shot. And as far as I know, it kept me from getting the flu, although I don't know, because I got a bunch of people around me that, as far as I know, they didn't get the shot, and they they didn't get the flu, and then I also know people who got the shot and they got the flu. And I mean, I would see people in the hallway. Oh yeah, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. What have you been up to at work? And she's, oh my God, I've been like laying down. I've been home for 2 weeks with the flu. I'm like 2 weeks. I'm like that. I don't know. In my mind, like if you literally cannot get to work for 2 weeks straight, that is a significant illness. I mean, that's like, I had my leg chopped off and they need to like mill a new one to like glue it on. And I was just like, I would go crazy. I mean, 2 full weeks, I would just be like, you stare at your foot the whole time. I mean, this quarantine thing, this lockdown thing, I've been so busy. I love it. I mean, I always got stuff to do, but so I'm with you, dude. I am not fussing much at all. Richard says 6 weeks of being locked up. I'm pretty sure I'm 97.6% feral and not suited for release in society. Well, I tell you what. Here's the thing: is if you haven't shaved through that whole time, then I would probably agree with you. But it's amazing what a shower will do, or at least how much better it makes me feel. Because honestly, I mean, again, Gracie's not here, right? So like, I get up and I'm like, I pull on a shirt. This isn't too bad. I can get another day out of this baby. And, I was like, okay, right. Because it's so much energy to wash my clothes. But, I get into that too. And then I think, well, I do have to go outdoors and mix with the people, the others. What was that show where the plane crashes and then they're on the island? And they all of the people that made it through the, what was the guy's name? Locke was the guy who was originally in his wheelchair, and then he got the ability to walk. I don't remember the names of the other characters actually. But there was a big fat guy. I think he was like, was he Samoan or was he? Anyways, a really large guy. He was one of the characters in there. It was like a science fiction thing. In any case, so they land on this island. And everyone that wasn't them was referred to as the others. Lost. Thank you very much, Richard. I knew one of you guys would like double click on that. So good. I'm glad I don't know why there's the delay. I see it. Maybe you guys see it in the YouTube chat thing too. And then we see it on the screen. But yes, lost. So got to take a shower before I go out and mix with the others. And I thought the 4-inch needle in the buttocks to treat sun poisoning was bad. Sun poisoning? Wow. I don't know where you get one of those, man. Have I had sun poisoning? I mean, I've had similar symptoms, I think, that people credit for sun poisoning. As far as, obviously it's also like dehydration, right, that you get from it. I've never had significant burns. I've had intense burns, like it hurt a lot when I went down to the Florida Keys, probably my second or third time. And it was down there with my girlfriend, and she was Moroccan, right? And so she had like darker skin. And so she's like, all right, well, we should be good. And, and of course, if no one basically pesters me, then I will quickly forget to put on sunscreen, which is not good behavior. I get it. But the point is that she, got darker, right? And I got darker too. And I'm like, oh, cool. Now I'm as cool as my dark girlfriend. And then I laid down in bed and was like, one of those deals where like you and your buddies are like at the beach, and one of your buddies gets a sunburn. And of course, what do you do? Because you just love him so much, right? You hit him on the back, hit him on his sunburn. That's about as close to looting as I get. is making my buddies go, dude, RL, good to see you. Hey, awesome. Daniel says, I was mega surprised to watch an old video of you with hair. Yeah, here it comes. Much better without hair, mate. You look like a dirty old man. Dude, trust me, after taking it off, I will tell you exactly what happened. I got it shaved off, and I had been wanting to do it for a number of years. But for some reason, I don't know whether it was ego or whether it was like vanity or something like that. I'm just like, oh, no, I'm just going to keep dyeing it. I'm going to keep dyeing it. But man, so I got it all shaved off. I walk outside and I'm going to take a pic. This is in Coronado, before I came here. And I take a picture of myself, a selfie, and I send it to Gracie. First thing she says, oh my God, you look so much younger. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking like in the selfie and I'm like, oh my God, I should have done this like literally 10 years ago, if not 5. And yeah, so I hope Damo's marketing of my old videos there doesn't doesn't make you guys not want to watch some of the old ones. I was actually watching one of the old ones recently because Daniel, excuse me, not Daniel Netz. Oh my God, Mike, here's some money. Go buy a real man cover for your mouth. But he was like, he went back and new subscriber, went all the way back to video number 1 of mine and just like watch. He's great. He's awesome. And so one of them he commented, because I see the comments, right? And I don't see all of them, which ticks me off, but I see some of them and then I'll like comment on them and be like, oh yeah, that's right. And then I guess he's up to, maybe like ones that were put out like a couple of years ago. And so he said, oh, it says something about it. And I said, yeah, you're right. So I like watched the whole video again. And I'm like, man, that was like pretty good. I was like making a decent point, and I was like saying, well, this is like, basically it was around the idea of corruption, right? In air quotes, meaning, you get pulled over by a cop for speeding and you give him $20 versus like getting a physical ticket and going through all the crap that you have to go through in California, which of course is, the more appropriate way. But quite frankly, it's the least efficient ever. But the point is that yeah, John Locke. That's right. Yeah. Thank you, Aztec. But I was like, man, this is like a really cool video. I should like somehow like re-release it or like put it up there or like Throwback Thursday or something like that. But then to your point, dude, I was like, God, if I could just like airbrush out that friggin' dead animal I had hanging out the back of my head. But it's like, oh my God, dude. And I got to tell you guys, I love being bald. It is so, now again, I want to say low maintenance. It's just kind of, it is lower for sure maintenance. It's also, it takes more time to shave, right? Because now, of course, the surface area of my face is quadrupled. And so it takes a little bit more, and my razors last half as long or whatever. But the point is that I love it because like when I'm out, like I don't need to worry about it at all. Like I don't need to worry about like where it is or where my silly ponytail thingy is. Or, oh my God, I'm going to be going out into Hamandan, right, for 2 weeks. You can't just like walk down to the sorry store and be like, yeah, so I'd like to get some hair dye. Can I just get some just for men, and huck that ink up there. So that's not happening, but, Damo says I don't sunburn. I lobster. That would be a kind of a good shirt, wouldn't it? One of my visits to Phuket, I forgot to put on sunscreen. Looked like a lobster. I bet you did. Did you do the deal when you like push your skin and it goes from red to white? You're like, ooh, that's gonna leave a mark. Yeah, absolutely. RL says I watched some old vids with the hair, and yeah, it was a shock at first. Can see why you chopped it. Trust me, dude. I am right there with you. Right there with you. Some people look better with bald than with hair. If the hair doesn't want to play ball. Yeah. I'm glad I dumped it. Believe me. Joseph says, I liked Airport Hotel 168 Part 2. Wow. That was a while ago. Do you guys know which one he's referring? You're probably not completely committed my entire volume of videos to memory, but what he's referring to is the time that I was in the Shanghai Pudong Shanghai International Airport, because there are in fact 2 Shanghai airports. But I was in Pudong, and like right in the middle of Terminal 1 and Terminal 2, there's this basically airport hotel. And I was really bummed because I was in Shanghai and I basically had like a 24-hour layover. And I thought, okay, cool. So what I'll do is I'll go in, I'll like find a place for my luggage, I'll like store it or whatever, and then I'll take the maglev train, right, from like one destination all the way to the end or something, and then I'll like do something there, and then I'll come back, and there's no way I'll miss my next plane. But it was so incredibly cloudy. It was like incredibly overcast, and I was pretty tired too. And so I thought, all right, well, I'll try out this airport hotel. And what I was really pleased about that hotel was the fact that, I mean, it's an airport hotel, right? So yes, people sleep there in the evening, but people also sleep there in the middle of the day because they're doing what I'm doing, which is basically they have this, global transfer international stopover. And so the nice thing is that they were really conscious about keeping it clean and also keeping it quiet. Because, I mean, if you think about it, like, I mean, the turnover on those rooms, I mean, it's effectively like an hourly room, kind of. I mean, if you get it for a night, I don't know what time the check-in, because it's in an airport and people are coming in and going out all the time. It's not like, check-in time is always at 3 p.m. and checkout time is at 10 a.m. I mean, you basically are like, no, you're reserving this thing for 12 hours. Well, because of that, when people, like when I left at, when did I leave? I think I left sometime in the morning. I couldn't remember what it was, but no. Anyway, I think what happened actually is I got there in the morning and then I slept all day. And then like just before sunset, I woke up and then I had to get to my next flight. Anyway, the point is that the housekeeping was very conscientious, and they would, they're not like yelling down the hallway to, I mean, it was quiet, and I really appreciated that. That was like really awesome. Daniel Net says, just saying, many of the early videos, you did have a lot of wisdom. Oh, thanks, man. That's cool. But now, Mike, where the hell did you shave that wisdom off to? I liked doing those videos at first. It was funny. I was really honored because one of the girls that worked in our team in IT, her boyfriend, he, because what would happen is like when we would have meetings, then I would be like, well, bring your girlfriend, bring your spouse, bring your boyfriend, whatever, bring your friend if you want, anything, because your ability to be exceptional at work is based on the fact that you likely have a fairly healthy relationship. And so, the fact is that you spend 8 hours a day at least with this team. And then hopefully you spend, sometimes at least, if you're getting a good night's sleep, you're spending at least 8 hours with your spouse or your significant other or whatever. And I was like, well, they're really important. Like this whole, don't bring your spouse. I mean, again, it was the team that I designed. And so I understand that doesn't work at scale, and not every single FedEx employee can bring their significant other to the job, like when they have, an hourly meeting or something. But when we would have meetings in various places, I would have them come in, and her boyfriend was like, man, I've been watching your videos. Man, I could just listen to Mike's forever. And it made me feel good because he was like, I think he was a senior. He was either a senior, in college, not in high school, but a senior, or he was going into his graduate degree. And one of the things that I really got a lot of great joy out of working in higher education is the fact that, our team was effectively providing, to the best of our ability, a world-class infrastructure so that these kids, could get the best education they could, and they could go ideally change the world. And, so it was neat, when a 20-something would be like, oh yeah, like that's really cool. Because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the majority of the 40 and 50-year-old dudes that I ran into when I was 20, they didn't know anything. Oh boy, I wish I had been more of an open-eared young man, but I really, for some reason, I didn't have that skill set. So RL says, what makes you prefer Bangkok over Phuket to live? Is there any other place you would prefer to live, like Hua Hin or Krabi, etc.? At RL, great question. I'm asking for a friend. I love that one, right? You see that with my buddy? My buddy, he's always posted something. He posts something totally inappropriate. Like, do you think it's bad manners if I bring home my lady boy girlfriend to meet my mom when she thinks I'm dating? Kind of thing. It's like asking for a friend. Anyway, so what makes me prefer Bangkok over Phuket? So right now, I am in Bangkok because I can leave. And as you know, you watch my videos, I left and I went to Prachuap Khiri Khan. But the home base we have here, this condo that we have here, the idea behind it was we had a central place that we always could come to near a very easy to get to airport. Like I can walk down to the BTS, I take the BTS to the ARL, I take the ARL right into the, underneath the airport, and I walk up and bam, I can get on a flight. I can get on a flight for $27 and I can go to Da Nang for lunch. Or I can go down to Phuket, right? When there's not COVID, when this isn't normal. However, while I love Phuket, and it does have a pretty international airport, it's not Bangkok. And so I did some research because, look at Singapore is a pretty amazingly centralized location here in Southeast Asia. However, I was there enough to realize that even though I would, get the hang of it and try and figure out like a way to live that would be appropriate and reasonable, I would still be distracted by the cost of stuff. Whereas living here in Bangkok in this condo for like $360 or whatever it is a month, when my electric bill comes and it's like $100, I'm like, all right, whatever. It's just like that's just a. And whereas I would submit that if I was living in Singapore and paying for all of the things that's necessary to buy when you're in Singapore, I wouldn't get a car. But if I got $100, I'd be like, man, it's $100, and I was gonna like put this over here. I needed to buy this $1,200 laptop. Whereas here, it's just like, everything is just so insignificant. But the majority of the reason that we're here is because from here we can get to many other places for a very reasonable cost. And Phuket and Bangkok are both expensive. You're absolutely correct. And in fact, one could argue that they are the most expensive places to live in Thailand. Now, you can absolutely get a smoking deal on a place. And I'm going to make sure I don't miss Richard Martin's. Everyone is different, depends on your requirements. Yeah, absolutely. And then Dama says to RL, I'm thinking of Kamala is where I go when I retire. They're close enough to the party, but still quiet. Phuket and Bangkok are both expensive. Yep. And Kamala looks quiet. Was in Patong last year and was cheap for me. Indeed, it's very low cost, right? But I think my friend could live as good but cheap. My friend, yeah, absolutely. I really like Chiang Mai, Udon Thani, and Nong Khai. So and so it's like, okay, well, Mike, you said you're a beach guy. Yeah, I am. But again, Bangkok was pretty, centrally located, or it is centrally located. And, once flights start opening up. Now, the other cool thing is that now that I am in Bangkok, once I can get to Phuket or once I can get to Krabi, I can technically fly to Krabi as of I want to say at least a week ago, maybe 10 days ago. But the beaches effectively aren't open down there. Now, obviously, the beaches were open in Prachuap Khiri Khan, but then I checked with JC on my way sort of north back up to here to Bangkok, where I actually would have stayed in Cha-am and hung out there, but those beaches were closed. Kamala is indeed quiet. Patong is what it is, right? It's the party area. South of is Kata, and that's pretty cool too. Now, again, there's Phuket town. And, we've stayed in Phuket, meaning that we stayed on the east side. And on the east side, there's also this little island called Coconut Island, which is awesome. I think I did some videos on Coconut Island. I'm not 100% sure. I may have not been able to or whatever. But we rented this place and it was one of those deals where you have a door that goes into the bathroom and then there's another door from the living room that goes into the bathroom. Well, this one had a door that went into the bathroom kind of from the bedroom. It was kind of like a really large studio. And then cool. And then from the bathroom it went out into this mini pool that each sort of bungalow had. And then you got out of the pool and then to the right was this covered I don't know. I guess it was kind of like a gazebo sort of thing, but I would sit out there all day long. Now, again, this is in December, so it wasn't as hot. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. Maybe it was November because I think Gracie and I, for U.S. Thanksgiving during those days when we were here in Bangkok on this grant that I was on, we flew down to Phuket, I think, for a week. And then we spent our time in Coconut Island and then in Phang Na, which is basically the province/city that's north of that. Bali Hut. Thank you very much. Yes, agreed. So I liked that part of Phuket, and that's not expensive. Phuket town is not expensive. live. Let me update that stream. Connection to media server has been restored, is what this just told me.